This is John Walton, and you're listening to the Power Play Point podcast with the Blue Liner on point and Anna Knox. Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And the hat trick tonight, number 21,
Hello and welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, talking to you, live, but not to tape. Bit of a different way of doing things. I'll get to that in a minute. The Mermaid is off this week, so joining us once again, as she always does in her more than capable role as co-host, pro tempore, is the wonderful super fan from Myersville, Maryland. It is C4, Cheryl Ann Forster. Cheryl Ann, how you doing tonight?
I could be a little better had the Caps won the other night, but all in all, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Things aren't looking good, but They could be worse, and look, we'll explain it all for everybody that might be hiding behind the dark cloud. But before we get really into the show, I just want to remind everybody that Power Play Point podcast is the only Caps fan-made podcast that melts in your mouth and not in your hands. So this week, as I said, we're doing things a little bit differently. Had to kind of switcheroo the schedule around a bit because of some availability, shall we say. And if you're listening to this in podcast format, we're actually doing the show live through the Sports on the Hill podcast, courtesy of Robbie Gross, who is actually in the background in a producer's role at this time, but he'll be jumping on with us in a little bit to kind of guide us through everything. So a little bit compacted this week, so we're going to need to get everything fairly quickly. So hopefully we don't leave anything out, but I'm going to cover the games as we normally do and provide some commentary as we normally do. I guess the only thing to do is rip the Band-Aid and just get off into it. We'll start we're going to go real fast through the Calgary game because last week, if you caught Sports on the Hill, Cheryl Ann and I and Robbie all did kind of a watch along of the third and final period only.
Actually, I was at the game.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You were at that game. That's why you're here, or part of the reason why you're here, because you're going to provide us with some special commentary on that because of that. And you've also provided some video footage, which unfortunately, if you're, again, listening to this in podcast format, you cannot see. So hopefully you've had a chance by now, you on the other sides of the speakers, the earbuds, what have you, to catch the Sports on the Hill edition, the live stream edition, be you on Twitch or Facebook. But let's get into it. It was the first win of the season for the Caps, and it was against the Flames. And it was another slow start for the Caps. They fell behind quickly, 2-0. And then things started to pick up about, I want to say, halfway through the game. So let's see if it
was about halfway through the second they started picking up.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl Ann, for keeping me straight. So this app is not very big on past games. Unfortunately.
I've sort of figured it out. Hold on. Yeah.
We're kind of messing around with this, and
here we go. Completed games. Okay, so if you go under schedule and you just kind of scroll down, you'll come to completed games. And then we can click on the 16th and it'll give you all of that.
Okay,
So,
I've got it. I've got it
Yep.
now.
Yep.
I've got it. Okay. So yeah, I know we badmouth the app pretty badly, but to their credit, they've actually made some improvements to this thing. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. I'm sure the evil commissioner Gary Bettman had nothing to do with that because he probably doesn't know doodly beans about how these things work. So anyway, so yeah, as I said, the Flames jumped ahead 2-0 by the time the first period was over. And then things picked up about, as Cheryl Ann said, about a little past the halfway point of the game. Matthew Phillips brought the Caps within one with his first ever NHL goal.
Against the team that drafted him and never really gave him a chance.
Against the team that literally threw him in the garbage bin and never gave him a chance. And as a fellow podcaster said in her show, we'll gladly take your Calgary Flames refuse and take advantage of your mistakes and pick up players you don't think are ready. And well, what was also said was that, ironically enough, was that the person who assisted on the goal, Sonny Milano, is also a Flames reject. Ha ha ha. So,
Ooh, I'm not trying to do that.
aha on you, Calgary Flames. Thanks for your garbage. But yes, sweet saucer pass. As I said last week, some cookie sauce from Milano over to Phillips, and he puts it away for his first of the year at .650. And then later in the period, Connor McMichael tied it up with his first of the year, assisted by Phillips again and John Carlson on a nice kind of a change-up shot. I want to call it.
Sweet.
Now that we're talking about we're talking a little bit about baseball playoffs, in the middle of baseball playoffs, ties it up at 2, and that's how it would end. And it would go to the dreaded skills competition. And more on that later, but it would go to the dreaded skills competition. And Evgeny Kuznetsov does what he does amazingly enough, and was actually the only one who scored. Okay, yeah. So all right. So if you're live with us on Facebook or Twitch and catching that feed, what Robbie has done is collected C4's live video from the game. And so what we're going to do is watch along right now the replay of the winning shot in the penalty shot series in the skills competition. So Robbie, go ahead and roll it.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so Kuzi takes his position behind the center line and stops a little bit and then picks up the puck, and we're waiting.
They call it the Kuzi crawl.
I'm checking my watch. And shoots and scores.
Yeah, it got right in there.
Yep.
Definitely
nice
right in there.
Top shelf.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can actually
right shoulder.
Suppose we can slow it down here.
If you'll do a little coach's clicker for us, Mr. Gross.
Yeah, so we can see here you got all the crazy maneuvers, back and forth, and then up there, just up and over. Beautiful goal.
Up and over the stick hand of Jacob Markstrom, and thus winneth the game for the Capitals. And I think Kuzi has only actually missed once.
And I think that was in preseason.
Yeah.
That was in the game against Detroit at preseason. He missed that one.
Well, he has missed one using this speed up thing, because I know it's not perfect, but in the regular season. But now he actually has the best shootout record on the team, and that's crazy when you think you had somebody like TJ Oshie on the team, who, if people remember from the Olympics, was famous for doing this, and in the end won a very important game for Team USA because of that. And that was before he was even a Capital, but it's crazy that Kuzi is so good at it. And it's also funny that Ovi is so bad at it. I always feel like Kuzi should teach Ovechkin how to do this crazy maneuver. I feel like Ovi could do it, and it'd be funny if, or Nicholas Backstrom, I thought could be really good at being shifty with the puck. Yeah. So I feel like he needs to start doing a clinic on how to do this move, and see if some of the other players
but then everybody would do it, and then they'd figure it out. So
eventually, but they haven't figured it out yet, and I'm willing to at least try to have a second player do it, especially because no one would ever see that coming. Like Nikki doing the koozie, like
okay, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, so it'd be a good change up. So anyway, I'll stop the screen share there. But great footage by C4. And we definitely covered that whole game live on Sports on the Hill podcast last week. That's why I didn't have a whole lot to add to that one. But it was cool because C4 was able to send that to us live on air, and we were able to cover it at the end of the show. So kind of fun that we and Gil was able to cover the shootout as well in that next segment. So it's been a lot of fun having C4 and Gil on Sports on the Hill podcast. And I want to congratulate Gil and Anna for being recognized as one of the top hockey podcasts in our area. It's been fun to watch this whole entire process grow here, and this podcast partnership. We on Sports on the Hill podcast talk about all the DC sports teams, although I really do consider it a hockey podcast. I know that it's tough because we're also a football podcast, and we do share even time to both. But the Capitals have always been a big part of why Carol and I started the show, was to do a show that would cover both, right? Not just one or the other. And so it's been fun to watch the rise of the Capitals, our podcast, and also the Stanley Cup winning season as well. So it's been a fun road, and now we get to hopefully witness greatness with Ovechkin, who's been struggling so far this season. And that's going to be my segue into Gil being able to talk about some of the next couple of games.
And so much has been made of his struggles, but it's as he correctly put it, it's not just his struggles, but the team's struggles as well. So on to the next game, which was really bad. Let's not sugarcoat it too much. If at all, it was on to over the border onto the capital of Canada, Ottawa, against the Senators. And these Senators do a lot more than talk and filibuster. They put a 6 spot on the Capitals, and John Carlson was the only one who answered, but it didn't take long for the Senators to get ahead in this one. Vladimir Tarasenko, who they signed as a free agent over the summer, his second of the year, jumped out to a 1-0 lead. If you happen to have the app in your possession and you're able to see the replay, it kind of sort of starts with a very, very, very bad attempt at a zone exit, which this team has been very, very, very bad at doing. And Rasmus Sandin just tried to, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was trying to apparently take the puck past 2 Senators attackers, and that didn't work. And that quickly turned into a turnover, and Tarasenko ended up with it in front of the net, put it away, 1-0, and Sens were off and running. Josh Norris made it 2-0 8 minutes later, almost exactly, and that was the winning goal. Josh Norris had himself one hell of a game. He would go on to score another goal. It was just all kinds of bad from there on. Just not. I mean, better shot output, 24 on goal for the Caps. Power play was anemic again, although they only got 2 chances. Just nothing real good about this game. It just, after that first goal, you just kind of see everything just deflate. And
Yeah.
you know what? It was a bad game. Another telltale sign of a lot of what's wrong with this game. But as for the purposes of this episode, because we don't have a whole lot of time, and this season, to be honest, we're just going to draw a line through this game because, well, for one thing, you got to remember the Senators are an improved team. They are a better team than they were last year, much better than a lot of people think. They're actually going to, in my mind anyway, contend for a playoff spot. I would not be surprised if they finish in one of the bottom 3 spots in the Eastern Conference. So to underestimate the Senators, especially after pickups like Vlad Tarasenko over the offseason, which have greatly improved their team, and some underrated goaltending I think they have in Anton Forsberg. Not a team to take lightly anymore. And if you do so, it'll be at your peril, obviously. So that combined with the fact that the Caps are still learning everything on the fly. They're still a team that is trying to put things together. So, something they need to do about these slow starts, about getting out of the gate a lot quicker and sticking to their game. But they're slowly but surely figuring it out. But I don't think we should waste too much more time on the Ottawa game because, well, we all saw it. It wasn't very good. But
I'm actually happy I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I skipped that one.
I missed most of it too. So
you really didn't miss much other than it was pretty much a replay of the Penguins game.
yeah.
After
it wasn't it the second game that Obi was held without a shot?
Yeah, and that's
which was rather concerning to me because when at the Calgary game, there were several times it looked like he was almost like a step behind the play. There were chances like the puck would come to him and he would it was like, I don't know if he didn't see it or if it just got by him. He just seemed to be a step behind in that game for most of the game. And I didn't see Ottawa, so I don't know if it was any different there.
It was more of the same.
I will say he looked a lot better in the Montreal game.
Yes, and that's actually the game we're going to feature this week. That is cover more in depth. So let's just go ahead and jump to that one. Ironically enough, despite how good the Caps would look in this game for most of the 60 minutes, I think, it was yet another slow start. Most of the first period, I would say, I wouldn't say they dominated play, but they looked okay. They looked like they were keeping up. They looked like they were at least getting chances. They ended up with 12 shots on goal for the first period. Just, kind of a little bit of a puck luck thing was what Joe B and Locker kept referring to.
Right.
But then came the first penalty of the game. Or one of them anyway, or at least the first shorthand chance of the game for the Caps. And unfortunately, the penalty kill has also been one of the things that have not gone very well for our Washington Capitals this year. Sean Monahan puts it away, assisted by Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Remember that second name, 1855 on the power play. Some would be of the opinion that Kemper didn't react well to it. I would disagree. From my vantage point, it was more like Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Nick Jensen both missed their assignments in front of the net. Monahan was in a great position, almost all by himself in front of the net to deflect it past Kemper. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I don't think they only scored 3, and I don't think I'd put any of the 3 on Kemper. But that first one, I think it was a pure deflection that just got by him.
The first one, for sure, I would not put on Kemper at all. But
I didn't get as good a look at the second one, so.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it was just a bad coverage assignment by the defenseman, and yeah, they were again. The team was just out of sync and just not doing what they needed to do, and the coverage just wasn't there, and that's how scoring chances are created. You got to minimize that. That's the defense's job, is to minimize those. They didn't do their job. So instant 1-0. Caps go into the first intermission down. Second period, Brendan Gallagher, his first. This one I really didn't like. You could make the case, if you see the replay, that little bit of goaltending interference. The refs decided not to call it. We're not going to waste too much time on this, but boy, did the refs involve themselves. A little bit more on that later in this game. But this one started and this has been a pet peeve of mine, but Hardy Hamanaktel was inserted into this game over Lucas Johansson and Alex Alexeyev in the bottom pair of the defense in this game. And Monahan, I think it was Monahan who rushed up the right wing with the puck, got around Hamanaktel, who is supposed to be a superior along the boards, but basically Monahan pretty much danced around him. Hamanaktel did this stupid-looking kind of reach move, and then kind of, I don't know if he thought he was playing the part of the Karate Kid or something, did this bow and just, okay, buy your lead, and goes right past him. And then there was a scrum in front, and Kuzi was supposed to pick up Gallagher, who was literally crashing the net, and didn't. So again, I would say that was more on the skaters versus Kemper, although again, it could be argued that Kemper could have gotten a better angle on that one. But again, the skaters have to minimize the scoring chances. They didn't. So here we go again. Even strength goal about halfway through the second, and Caps again are down 2-0 with a lot left to play. And doom and gloom and all that. Caps kind of didn't really look good. I think they went into a funk for probably the rest of the period at least, and most of the third. But they did come alive, or rather Dylan Strome would, scoring not one but two goals in the third period. His first one was assisted by Alex Ovechkin. Oh, and by the way, Ovechkin, that's his second point. So for all the complainers, he does have 2 points this year. I know we expect him to score goals, but he does have 2 points in 3 games. So he is contributing, maybe not what we're used to seeing, but he is contributing at least. And Matthew Phillips with the secondary assist on that one. I'm going to jump to the replay and see what I can see here. Well, I would have if they're not this ad for a lovely Chevy Silverado truck that apparently can tow up to 36,000 pounds of and it's got a 13.4 diagonal touch screen. Yeah. Give me about let me win the lottery about 5 times, and maybe I can afford one of these.
Right.
On a good payment. Yeah. Okay. Made by Chevrolet. Like I didn't know that. Okay. Here's the replay. And so Strome. Okay. So Ovi kind of starts to play in the corner, and he goes towards the net. He looks like he's going to shoot, sees Strome open on the right wing, about 10 feet out, flips it to Strome, and he puts it away into the half empty net. And great play by Ovi to find him to not shoot. And so that was the goal that got them back into the game. And then and the app has decided to be stupid again. Okay, so what I'm now trying to do is go to the penalty summary, because that's when the game started to get a little wild, penalty wise. And okay, so
here.
Okay, I've got it now.
Okay.
I've got it. Okay, so in the third period alone, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minor penalties called by the referees. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as in two hands. You got to use two hands to count it all. Thank you, C4. You want to know how many of these minor penalties were against the Capitals? 5 of them.
5.
And how many of those ended up being 5-on-3s? 3 of them.
Oof.
Yes. So the Capitals found themselves at one point having to kill off a back-to-back 5-on-3 power play chance. 2.
Yeah, it was 2 of them. 2 of them.
2 power play chances that were a 5-on-3 disadvantage for the Capitals. Again, I don't want to waste a whole lot of time complaining about the refereeing, but my God, did they let a lot go and then decide to inject themselves into the game? This is the kind of garbage that gets you fired from a normal job. When you decide to not do your job and then decide to do your job badly. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it started at 3:02 with Haman Akhtel minor interference. And then, like I said, it got really stupid after that. The worst penalty, I mean, this could not have been more obvious, was the one to Tom Wilson where he got called for the trip, where he barely even touched the person.
He didn't even touch him.
And his argument was the guy fell down because he touched the puck. And if you see the replay, if you've seen a replay on this, he's right. There is almost zero contact, zero interference that warranted any call, but it put the Caps down 5-on-3. And
I can't believe that there was 4 penalties called within 5 minutes of playing time, from 3:02 to 8:02. 5 minutes of playing time, 4 penalties called against us. I mean,
and again, there's only one explanation for that, and it's the fact that the refs felt like they weren't a part of the game, and they injected themselves into it. And you know, when you do that, it affects the outcome in a negative way, and you can't do that. I don't know, either call it the way you called it in the first 2 periods, or I don't know, but it's something has to be done. But I just want to throw this out there. Bo Halkitis was one of the referees, and I got to say, he's got to be one of the worst in the league right now, because I remember another game where he was calling phantom penalties against the Capitals, and it just gotten ridiculous. So once again, here he's doing it again, and so I just want to point that out, because I don't think not enough scrutiny falls upon the refs. But anyway,
Was he one of the refs at the Calgary game? Because there was one where Oshie was the guy that got interfered with, but they called a penalty on Oshie. And then there was another one where Kadri literally pulled Kuznetsov's stick out of Kuzi's hand, and they called the penalty on Kuzi.
He was not. He was actually not.
Okay.
But I was going to say it would not have surprised me, but no, he was not. So with almost 2 minutes left in the game, Dylan Strome ties it up, and let me punch up the replay for that one. Are we going to get a commercial? Oh yes, there's a lovely Chevy Silverado again.
While you're doing that commercial break, I just want to give a quick scoring update to the people that are doing a live watch along with me. Texas just scored 4 runs in this Game 7 of the American League Championship game. So they blow up what was a 4-2 lead, now has become an 8-2 lead at the top of the 4th inning with 2 outs. And so if you're watching live on Twitch, you can see a live scoreboard of this game. And we are currently rooting against the Astros. The Astros did finally get their 3rd out, but not until 4 runs of damage were done. So, and now you can go to your hockey highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, Chevrolet, I want a big fat check, and I want it in dollars, not francs. Anyway, so okay, so firing up the actual replay here. All right, so it's Kuzi. Okay, so Kuzi's the one that made this play, and for a lot of crap he's gotten, again, I think he's he won the shootout, and now there's this play. So he starts on the right wing and does one of his patented wraparound moves like he's going to shoot. But instead of shooting, he actually tossed it in front of the net. And it was actually TJ Oshie that was camped out in front of the net, and it looked like it was going to go to him. He missed it. And then Strome was the late man, sneaking up on the wing and picked it up and fired it into the net for the game tire. And
we need to do more of that.
And then off we go to overtime. And yeah, there needs to be lesson learned. Needs to be a lot more fluidity, a lot more movement, a lot of nice things like that. And yeah, there's just not yet. A lot of I don't know, maybe legs not getting there. I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
But yeah, C4, just like you said, needs to be more of that. Perfect example of how when they put their talents together, they can get it all together and, do what they can do. So we're all going crazy, and then they push it to overtime. And as much good as Strome did, oh boy. Okay, so yeah, 40 seconds and it's over. Cole Caulfield, as I mentioned before, he got the assist on the Canadiens' first goal. He gets the game winner on this one, but it all started on an extremely botched line change. So let me I don't need to see the replay. I'm still seeing it in my head. So let me set the stage for everybody. Caps were attacking. It's 3-on-3, of course, and they had been the shift had been out there for about 40 seconds. So that's about average time for any shift, especially in overtime because you're covering more ice. And they didn't get a shot on goal, but they were threatening, and it was time for the line change. And Strome is kind of caught between, okay, do I forecheck? Do I go to the bench for the change? And he made a motion like he was going to the bench. He took 2 strides to the bench and then suddenly turns around and decides to forecheck the Canadiens defender and then turns back around. And by that time, they'd gotten it out of their zone and sprung Caulfield for the almost breakaway shot on the left wing, lifts it over Kemper's right pad. And yeah, all she wrote. Game over. Caps come away with the Price is Right loser point. Loser. And we're all ticked off. But as I mentioned on Twitter, it's a moral victory for the Caps because you gotta celebrate their grit and their approach to the game once they got down 2-0. And I, for one, was proud of how they stuck to it, even though it did look like their energy was sapped towards the energy of the end of the second period, rather. But they did kind of, find it within themselves and sucked it up and, did what they could. And I especially liked, even though the botched line change, I did really like the fact that Strome took it upon himself to kind of carry the team. And unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view, they're going to need more of that, a lot more of that, because you can't outskate Father Time, as has been said. And maybe, it's been called into question, but maybe Ovi's finally feeling his age. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but it sure looked like that the first 2 games. So if the Caps can find other sources of offense, other players that can carry the team, and
yeah, Ovechkin's not going to carry the team, I don't think, anymore. I think he can still be a very important cog in this, wheel, or if you will, but it's going to take more of a team effort than it has in the past. And to be honest, they owe him that, right? He carried the team for so long. It's time that some of these players, help,
next man up, step up, get the job done,
because I think that it'll open up a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
If other players start playing well, then they're going to play off of Ovechkin, and then if you give Ovechkin time and space, he can still score. So but I think that you can't just assume that he's going to score. I think that that's the big difference. So.
Right. And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I think even more so than the defense, my friend Doug Lucerian's pointed this out multiple times. The what's hurting the Caps really this year is their lack of secondary scoring.
Right.
And they signed Pacioretty over the summer, but he's not going to be ready for another month at least. Is what I'm hearing, and we don't even know how effective he'll be. But on paper, right now, he's probably the only threat. But yeah, otherwise they're just going to have to find it. Now, let's do a really fast review of these three. All the 4 games really. So you had the home opener, where they fell behind against Pittsburgh, but played really well to begin with, but fell flat. Carbon copy in the Ottawa game, their first road game. So they're the other 2 games where they did get a point. Carbon copies of each other as well. They started really well, didn't quite get the result, fell behind, came back, and pushed it to overtime. And in the first case, a win. So, it's hard. It's really, really hard to judge this team right now. And I get that. Okay, 3 points in 4 games. I get that. Not what we're used to. But towards the end of last season, we did say a lot. There's something of a mini rebuild going on. Regime change, coaching change. Nothing's going to be like it was. It's going to take some time. So if you're on the ledge, please come off of it and realize it's going to take some time. You need to study how the game actually plays out. So you'll be able to see the difference between now and hopefully maybe April, when they look more like a team that's in sync. But I really, I kind of like, and I would throw Strome into this group, but if you look at the Calgary game in particular, it's the Mott the Hoople song. All the young dudes carry the news. And
Right.
It's great to see that, because it proves all they needed was a chance. They're getting the chance, and they're making mistakes, but they're getting the chance, and good things are happening.
And there's still, I've noticed, still some habits that need to be broken. You still have a few players once in a while, they carry the zone and they carry the puck into the zone and stop skating. They've got to, I've noticed that not as much as it used to be, but you can still see it every once in a while. They'll get the puck in the zone, they stop skating, they look for the next man instead of crashing into the net, shooting the puck. Somebody said it on one of the chats. We need more of that speed on the shot. It's like we're taking too long to set up the shots. But again, that's something that we've done in the past. There's passing. And by the time we shoot it, the goaltender's ready for it. The defenders are ready for it. So, but again, I'm not panicking. This is 4 games. Okay. We've played 4 games, people. There are 70 odd, 82 in the season. So what,
82.
78? Yeah.
78
82 games in the game. So there's 70 something left, right?
Yep.
Right.
A long season, people. We're going to be fine. Even if we don't make the playoffs. And I truthfully don't think we're going to see the playoffs for a couple more years. We're going to be fine.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We are going
real quickly. I hate to cut us short, but we are
gotta get going.
at the end of our time. I just want to give the upcoming games real fast, just to get those in on Gil's and my show. We've got Toronto at 6:00 on Tuesday. It's a nationally televised game. That's why it's a little earlier, so it doesn't compete with a Game 7 baseball game, which actually is necessary now. But we'll talk about that in the baseball segment in a little bit. Also, I was wrong with the scoring update, but I'll get into that in a future segment. But it was only 2 outs; it wasn't 3. So in the baseball game, they're still playing right now. I did miss the final score of that inning. But the upcoming games again: Toronto 6 o'clock, and then we go at New Jersey the next day on Wednesday at 7:30, and then Friday. So one day off, and then we have Friday versus Minnesota at 7. And
I'll be at that game.
Nice. And then Sunday, October 29th, San Jose. It's a 5 o'clock game. It's a matinee game on Sunday. So this is a big week. I'm kind of happy that there's a condensed schedule. Let's see what we got from our guys, and this will be the real test, right? And
Oh yeah.
not
Some
a lot
quality,
of rest and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, some quality competition there, especially Toronto. So gonna be really interesting to see how they adjust.
Yeah. I think Minnesota might be tough too.
Yeah,
I think they've been playing pretty well so far. So
So next week we can dedicate a little bit more time, and we'll recap all 4 of those games. And I hate to cut it short, but I do have a football segment that is coming up. But I really, Gil, I appreciate doing this with you and being part of an abbreviated Power Play Point podcast. But you can always preview these 4 games in an addendum segment if you need to as well.
Absolutely. And Robbie, thanks once again for helping us out in something of a pinch and hosting us again. And been there for us. I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for that. So we're going to go ahead and wind it up here as we segue into the next week. So for Robbie Gross and C4, Cheryl Ann Forster, this is the Blue Liner on Point signing off and reminding you that
don't laugh, Robbie.
I put another food item on the market. It's a combination laxative with alphabet soup. I call it Let Her Rip. Hallelujah, and let's go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Power Play Point podcast. Thanks for listening.